Hey guys, Nick here from Total Books and Records. Today I am on a tour of SOTA Technologies, SOTA Turntables.
SOTA Sound Inventions is the LLC,
Is
but
the LLC?
it's SOTA.
Cool. Well, obviously we've been a big proponent for SOTA Turntables. I've had them in my house for many years. We've been a dealer now for a handful of years, and today we get our tour.
So I'm Kristen Griego with SOTA Turntables, and today we're going to take you through the factory, show you what makes us different than other tables.
Yeah.
And you can make a decision based upon what you see. And a lot of people don't know a lot about SOTA. We're actually a 40-year-old iconic American turntable company. They were started in the really late 70s, early 80s in Berkeley, California. And at one point, we're just one of the largest turntable companies in the world. So today we're going to show you where we're at today in 2021.
Yeah, and a lot of you may be familiar with, like, you know, in the late 70s, early 80s, like the Lin LP12 was a big table of that era. VPIs had a lot of higher end tables. So I know a lot of you guys out there are audiophiles, and maybe you're not familiar with the SOTA brand, but I mean, you guys have been around for as long as everybody else has.
40 years, yeah.
So these are made right here. We are in Darien, Wisconsin, which is near Lake Geneva.
Delevan, Wisconsin.
Delevan, Wisconsin.
Yeah, but yeah.
Darien's on the way.
Yep.
Delevan, Wisconsin, right next to Lake Geneva, which is really close to our store, which is why we've been having such a great partnership with you guys for the years. Let's get into it. Let's see what goodies we can find around here. I'm just gonna follow you around. Just tell us what you got.
Well, right now we're kind of, when you walk in, this is kind of what you see. We're getting ready to go into our building phase at this point. So we'll be working on our sub-assemblies in wiring over here. After the machine shop, we'll have everything. This is our Cosmos sub-chassis right here. And we have the titanium nitride shaft here that'll then made up. We actually have the brand new platters here, which you can see, I mean, they'll go forever. But billet aluminum mated underneath to a brass, 360 brass, which then has a bronze bushing under that then goes against the titanium nitride shaft. So there's no more balls. In the early days, we would have a ceramic on our upper end tables, or we'd have a steel ball right here that would then ride on a sapphire thrust plate. That's now gone. The sapphire is now gone, and we have opposing magnets here keeping the platter up. And if you keep a very tight concentric tolerance, you get an amazing performance that's much quieter, and there's no mechanical noise or energy that's being released from a sapphire, even riding on a very, as good as a sapphire was.
Yeah.
There's just not a wear point anymore. So
yeah.
It's one less mechanical component that can create energy or we're lowering the noise floor.
Yeah,
by
magnetic lev.
Yeah.
Maglev, which is, well, you guys did that a couple years ago?
Yes, we did. And
so it's pretty new still.
We have, like the Sapphire, the new sub-chassis, back in the old days would have used MDF or 9-ply birch. This now has a phenolic resin in here that is super inert. And then we go to a piano brace that's an 1/8 inch thick, and then to the MDF steel tone arm blocks that receive your tone arm board. But then this is a Sapphire, and then we step up to the Nova, you now get the 1-inch piano brace.
Okay.
So every time you're stepping up, you're adding expense with materials, and until you get to the Cosmos level or Millennia level.
Yeah.
And so from here, here's what you brought us today. We're going to be.
This is my dad's table, guys. This is a SOTA Sapphire 3 Deluxe that they're putting a dust cover on for us today.
Which is beautiful, and you can see like the differences here. This has an acrylic top that was painted black underneath, so but it's actually a clear acrylic. This has an old Pabst motor, and it has a nice SME tone arm on this. A lot of times these pots can get, because they're aged, they're probably 20,
they get dirty, like any
yeah,
pot.
they get dirty, and so you can get speed fluctuations in here. So you have to do a little preventative maintenance on these. You got to take apart the platter assembly and re-lube it and get it, and maybe replace the ball in the Sapphire. And then we can actually take this table that's 30 years old and bring it up to new specifications. We can do, on a lot of these, we can do the maglev, we can replace the bushings if we need to, and bring it up to a new performance.
And that's, I think, what really sets SOTA apart is you can buy, you know, if you inherited a table or you have an old table, you can have these guys bring it back to 2021 specs. They didn't leave any of their old products in the dust, even though they could have when they moved from California or when they moved from, you know, back to Wisconsin. All of it's still relevant. You can bring it up. You're never lost in the dust. You can put your whatever arm you want, whatever cartridge you want. all made in America, all day. So
100%. So from here, you can see from the Cosmos prior, this is now an African rosewood that's getting ready to go out the door. And we're in the final testing. This customer's table actually had a wiring issue, so we had to send the tone arm off to get rewired. As soon as it comes back, it'll be set up, and we'll get to listen to it. We've already listened to it in-house, but we'll go from there.
Cool.
Then from this area, we can get into our
ooh, look at these setups.
where we have 4 tables in here at all times. And we'll have them throughout the factory in different states. So when a table comes in for restoration, we'll go through it and we'll do essentially like a 1,000-point check where we look over everything, tell everything that's involved, what needs to be updated or improved. Here we have this is an old tone arm block that's square, and the new ones are round. And this customer's gone to maglev. So what we've had to do is we actually take this, press the shaft out. We'll put this in the CNC mill. We'll mill approximately 1/8 off the bottom of this to be able to make it usable.
Wow.
Then we press back in. We'll mate new bushings to it with the platter. And this is their electronics. We're going to be going to a full-on.
That's your new electronic system, correct?
Yes, correct. And I'll show you some of the differences between the old and the new electronics along the way. But here's the Nova that we're talking about with the 1-inch piano brace. And being able to control everything in-house with our CNC shop, we can do a few nicer things. Or if we need to make things, your table was in here. Your table was in here right before. So you can see the last few customers, and then underneath you'll see the last ones before that. And so we always keep things going through. Another Nova over here. You can
see that shaft. That's so cool.
Yeah, the titanium nitride.
Titanium nitride,
is beautiful, yeah.
These guys are serious about their sound, guys.
And we're always pursuing improvements, always.
Yeah.
Constantly. And we have here, this is a Roadrunner. It's one of our tachometers here.
Okay.
And that can be used on any table, actually. If you're really curious to know how well your table performs,
how well it's at speed,
you can put the sensor board underneath on your plinth. You can put the little magnet on your platter, and then this will tell you how well your table is actually performing. Which we've had a lot of customers do that and then not be happy with their table's performance and come and buy a table from us.
How about that?
Which is not our end game, but we love, obviously, from sales. It keeps
it keeps things going.
Great. So this is the Roadrunner, and this right here is our vacuum power supply box. So we actually do. We were one of the first to ever do a vacuum hold down, where you put a record and it sucks it flat to the platter.
Yeah, that like a long time ago you guys just started doing that.
Yeah, and so with that system, it takes out most warps up to extreme cases. There may be an issue or two, but it can. If there's a little twist or warp in the record, it can suck it flat, and then you're off and running with a dead flat record for your needle to read off of, so you don't have to worry about up and down all the time.
I get that all the time. So I have a Furutech professional record flattener that I use for customers, and it doesn't always get the flatness. It doesn't always get the bow out or the warp out. And especially in current day, there's been a lot more vinyl inconsistency. There's a lot more wiggle on 180 gram or colored vinyl. There seems to be a lot of wiggle, or sometimes you'll get a bow. And so if you guys are wondering how to do it without a flattener, just buy a vacuum table. Problem solved. This is awesome. I love just the little things. They got a guy on the scale. You can tell this place is full of a lot of fun and a lot of love that goes into all these machines.
And you can see here's one of our just Series 6 boards.
Check this out.
And it's so beautiful how, and we partnered up with Phoenix Engineering, and they've really helped bring us to be state of the art in 2021. And it's just.
Is this a direct replacement?
Yes, you can actually take this board and, like on both of your tables that are out there, this would be the drastically improved. This is just an asynchronous motor, and you go to the Series 6, and it would use your same power supply, possibly, but then you get brand new electronics that would be a direct replacement.
Wow. So one of my other employees, Rob, has a Series 5. And he sent me, he goes, ask him what it takes to go to the Series 6 new power.
So from the 5 to 6, he has this motor, but you would need, we'd put this board on, we'd rewire everything here, and then we'd go out the table and we'd be jamming.
Wow.
It's actually not that involved.
Well, that's because his isn't that old, so that helps.
Yeah.
It's not like bringing up these old ones up to speed. Let's see what they got next in here, guys.
Well, and you can those are our new electronics. This would be one of our old vacuum power supplies, and this is.
Oh, check that out.
You can see it's not quite as these were hand propagated. I mean, with solder.
Single-sided board,
Yep,
hand done.
Yep, and it's just, and this was probably from, I would guess, 85 to 1990.
Yeah.
Was when this board would have been done, and we've come a long way in
Yeah.
that amount of time.
And I think people, like I said, you know, they maybe are familiar. There's Donna. There she is. If you call SOTA, you're going to hear from her.
And so here's where we're putting the dust covers.
I like it.
And getting those all situated. And we have, in the dungeon, we'll keep parts.
The dungeon.
We'll keep recycled parts for old parts, and we call it the boneyard. Or the dungeon. We can, find parts. And so we are always, when somebody trades in a table and they upgrade, a lot of times we take as much as we can off of them so that we're ready when somebody else loses it or breaks a dust cover and they need a part, we can find it.
Yep. Smart. Look at those getting set up in the next step. That's cool.
So
boneyards, parts, man, they got it all.
From here, it's going to get a little noisier because
that's all right. We'll do the best we can. We got mics on.
CNC.
Into the CNC section. Oh man, just got a lot more expensive in here.
So we do a lot of SOTA manufacturing, but we're also diversified. During 2020, when our governor said that all non-essential businesses are shut down, we were actually to keep going because we actually do some medical grade stuff there. We do some airline industry stuff here, which kept us going.
That's good.
And dust covers for a turntable, we can also use the acrylic for sneeze shields.
Nice.
So we were able to diversify, and a lot of times during that time period of March last year till just a few months back, we had people working separate shifts in separate departments until vaccines came out, and now we're 99.9% all vaccinated, and we're all,
back to work.
We're back to work, 100% and keeping things going. Right now it's lunchtime, so we won't see a lot of people, but come on through.
Okay. What you got cutting in here?
This is brass, just 360 brass. This is actually for a trombone, but this is a top of a valve. We make a lot of parts for trumpets and trombones as well.
Okay.
For Getson, just 10 minutes down the road. And they're an all-American, 4th-generation owned company, and we do a lot of their parts as well.
Getson?
Yeah.
Getson. Okay.
Yeah.
That's one thing I didn't know today.
And so whenever I got into the music industry, from a early age in New Mexico, I was a trombone player.
Okay.
And so I was going to school for music performance to be an orchestral musician, but then I ended up working for Getson Edwards with their division. I do trombone and trumpet development with them, and then I started making parts and getting into engineering and kind of a self-taught engineer. And so in here we have a main spindle, let me get this right, sorry, main spindle, sub spindle. We have Y-axis, 4 inches, 2 inches up, 2 inches down. We have live tooling. We can come off this machine. That's milling right there.
Yep.
We're doing some milling inside. And same thing with turntables. We do a lot of one and done parts.
I love it.
So we don't touch it. The more human interacts with stuff,
the worse. The worse the tolerance gets off.
Things can happen. Things can happen.
Look at all those parts.
Here we have a UMHW. So we do some UMHW for sailing boats and for other industries.
Okay.
This part right here, it starts oversized.
Okay.
And because we chuck it in the sub spindle, it'll be undersized. And then we wait a couple hours, and then we dimension it because it will actually shrink because of the heat from the machining, and it'll actually grow from when the energy is being released.
Love it.
That's our newest machine over here. It's got main spindle, sub spindle. It's got twin turrets.
Oh my
so
gosh.
it'll work on.
Oh, here you go. This one's not set up yet.
Yep, and so we have your main turret. This will actually have 24 stations because it has half stations increments. We have live tools on this. Again, Y-axis on both turrets, so we can keep both turrets embedded in material so we can get about 30% more efficient
Nice.
cutting. So our parts can come off faster. So this is a real high production machine, as is our Swiss screw machine, which we make a lot of our shafts on, and our spindles, of course.
Okay. So if you're buying a SOTA Sapphire,
These are the machines that it's coming off.
This is what it came out of this machine right here.
Yep. And right now we're setting up an MEC ferrule, and it's a little stainless part. We have to make about 5,000 of these. In here, it's our large DMG Mori mill, and it's just a 3+1 mill, but we can do a lot with it, and it's a great little machine.
You guys are set up for everything.
Well, and we have to be, because, you know, when SOTA came to Wisconsin, we'd been in Chicago, and when they were in Chicago, they had about 15 vendors that we would use.
Yep.
But they didn't have the ability to just make changes quickly.
Yeah.
And now we do.
Yeah.
And so having this at our disposal, when Don and myself partnered up, we were able to just then qualify problems, fix them instantaneously, and then move forward.
That's awesome.
And so we've really brought everything in, and we use even all of our material that we get is from domestic mills. So we qualify everything down to where we're getting the material.
That's what we like to hear. Anybody who is wondering what happened, where your SOTA sapphires are coming from nowadays, they're coming out of this place.
This is actually the first machine I ever got, and I had to refinance my house to get this machine.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And it was great. I got to learn how to program, and Chris, who now is my plant foreman, he runs everything now. He's much better than me, which I've learned in life. You hire people that are better than you in certain areas.
Absolutely.
And so he trained me on this machine, and then I learned CAD and SolidWorks and CAM packaging and everything on the side, and we've kind of grown this together.
That's cool. How long ago would you buy that?
Oh my gosh, early 2000s.
Okay,
and I actually
20
rented,
years ago.
Yeah, I rented a 10 by 10 square foot. I didn't have a bar feeder. I rented a 10 by 10 square foot space that I worked out of. So I would get 4-foot bars. I cut them to slugs for the parts I was making, and I started with that. And then we moved to a 1,000 square foot facility, and now we have 2 buildings and we have 13,000 square foot.
Can you keep up?
Yeah, we're looking at expanding and blowing this wall out another 40 foot. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. It's growing. That's what you want to hear.
We're adding another 12 stations for assembly, and that we'll have hitting in January, because one of the things with the pandemic, the demand has been really intense.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to grow, but at a controllable rate where the quality stays there, because that's always a thing. Growing, you have to do it, but you have to do it in a controlled manner.
Yeah, and you have to it's a lot of training. You know, especially in something like this, you have to teach them how, okay, this is this SOTA sapphire, this generation, this is how it's done.
Well, and that's it. So we have...
It's different.
Yeah, now we're actually working on Series 7.
7.
And that's what I'm on. That's where I'm working towards that. I'm working on a Class AB amplifier. We have a dual motor control that we're working on that'll be released next year. We're working on the future.
You got some good stuff coming.
Yeah,
that is awesome. You guys going to be at Expona?
Yes, we're going to be at Expona in our regular spot.
All right.
So we have, I wonder if I have some of the old platters here. This is a Series 5 platter. I know I have some in the back, and I'll show you some of the differences.
These are all the shipping carton boxes. Oh, this looks pretty new over here.
Yep, and everybody's at lunch, but we can turn the lights on.
Look at this.
So we make all of our platters right here on this machine. It's dedicated for that. We actually made a vacuum platter out of this, so we can suck acrylic to it and then machine it.
Oh.
And so a lot of times, you know, you can buy these things, but if you make them yourself, you save a little money. And you know exactly what you have.
You have the parts around here, and you have the tools.
We have a 25 horsepower vacuum hole down here.
Oh my gosh.
Which we use for that machine and on our CNC router, which you can see we were just making some Comet Moonbeam platters. So we have a 5-foot by 10-foot area that we can machine here on our, it's essentially a mill, but it's a router. And we're off and running.
Wow. This is really amazing.
And then from here, you'll see we're getting over to our wood shop area, where we make everything else from our sub chassis, and we'll do sub chassis assembly. We have, we'll get all these assembled, we'll get them bagged and tagged, and then as the next customers come up,
get them ready, get them on the line.
Yeah, we're getting them ready. And
how far out are you guys right now? And for like, if I order a SOTA Sapphire today, how long is it going to take?
It depends where we're at in that run. But
6 months? ish?
We're probably, yeah.
6 months ish?
Yeah.
Is it different as you go up? Because
well, no, like we were, okay, so Cosmos, for example, we were in the middle of a Cosmos run and we had X amount we needed to make and we had some new ones. We did 2 production runs of those. And so the newest order that came in was able to sneak in under that one before we
you
switched
do them in
over,
batches.
Yeah, before
so
we
it
switched
depends.
to Novas, and then now we're into the Novas and we're doing some restorations. So restorations we put on hold for a while we're doing, you know, and then we bring them in as we're ready to accept them. But
Okay.
and I'm hoping as we're training some new people and getting the next generation going, and if my goal is to have 12 additional stations for assembly. We get that going, the back order should be cut back. My goal is to get it to 2 to 3 months
It's reasonable.
by spring of next year.
These are custom-made products, so you know these aren't like an Audio Technica. You just go to my shop and buy off the shelf. These are custom-made, custom arm board, cartridge, balance setups.
Right.
You know, 2 or 3 months isn't bad when you talk about all the things that go into it. It's incredible.
Because we have a 4-spring suspension. What he mentioned, you'll have your bearing shaft and your platter right here, but then everything has to be exactly balanced.
Yep.
So that when your springs, you have your 4-spring suspension here, it's level.
Yep.
So that everything is collinear, I think is the term.
Yeah, and then even the arm boards. I love that you guys drill all your own arm boards now. You tell them what arm you're putting on the table, and they'll drill it to balance. So you just put it all together, and it just balances right out.
Exactly, and this is a new test we were just testing. This is actually the same materials here, phenolic resin, with aluminum. And we're comparing that to some of the older Cosmos arms, which were acrylic and lead and aluminum.
Yeah, I remember the lead shot. I think mine at home still has lead shot in it, the older versions. Which is annoying. Now you can just like put it together and bolt it. It's so much easier now.
Well, and that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed. So anything back here from our motor control boards, we make everything. And a lot of this wood, not the veneer obviously, but the wood that you see over here comes from a lot of the local forests. So in Palmyra, whenever there's a storm comes through with straight line winds. And this was actually a strikeout. I totally struck out on this deal. This was oak, but we had a lot of a little bit of rot, but we also had worms, oak worm. So if you look in here, these holes, the worms ate this one up, and you never know until you get into the wood. And so this, actually, one of our employees, Daryl, he's going to take this home and he'll use it for
something.
Yeah, he'll use it for some wood crafts that he does. He goes, I have customers that like that. I'm like, well, have
of
at
course.
it. We don't actually offer that, but we've
it's
had
unique.
Walnut. We got some cherry that I had. A guy called me and said, I just had all these tables go down, and all the limbs we're using for firewood. But if you can use it, I'd love for you to have it. So we'll buy that off him, and it'll go to the mill and local mill and kiln, and we're off and running.
Wow, locally sourced wood even.
Yeah. Walnut, cherry. My neighbor came up to me while I was mowing my yard, and he's like, I got a walnut tree I'm taking down. Do you want it?
All right.
Like, yeah, sure.
I mean, call him up. We'll get it over there.
And so over here, we have all of our woodworking equipment from, so we can do our finger joints here on our cabinets, and they're always the same. So we'll have these machines set up for one operation, and it won't change, because that way it stays consistent.
Yep.
And then we'll start with the softer woods, work through to the harder woods, and then after we're done, we'll take it apart, get all of our blades sharpened, get it back together for the next run when we need to do that. Same thing, our roundovers here. This is our roundover machine. Then of course we just use our joiner, our planers here, and our belts, our sanders, and it's amazing what we've learned. I have a friend, Dale, who's a master wood. He's worked with wood his whole life. He's now in his early 70s, and we train with him when if there's any questions.
He's the guy you call?
Yeah. Well, I mean, because we're training the next generation.
Yeah.
And when Kirk passed away, a lot of that knowledge was lost, and so when we needed to take on this role, rather than having, we have a couple other outsourced people we could go to if we need to, but we don't anymore. We just keep it all in-house.
Wow. Okay, look at all those shipping. Up top, they got all the shipping containers and.
Well, and that's it. If you wanna get the volume, so the price can come down, you have to have places to store things.
Yep.
We have some live slabs that I got to play with one of these days and get around to.
Back here in the this looks like oh, look at this.
Then we have Purple Heart. So This is a Purple Heart table.
I've never seen one.
Oh yeah.
Is that something new?
No, we do all sorts of exotic woods.
Exotic. I know. I try to always snag them when they come in pre-owned, but it's hard. They're getting harder and harder.
And like this one.
Look at that.
This is a Cocobolo, and it's stunning. But we're gonna freshen this up, and it'll look new when it's
Are
done.
these all customers, or are these
new? Like
or
this one
what?
right here has not been sold yet, but others. This one's been sold.
Okay.
So we'll tag them with the customer's names. This we just went through the mill and did the inset, and then it'll have the tops put in. That'll be the next step. This is beautiful. The African rosewood. When you get this river grain, it just looks stunning.
Yeah, it does.
This is the back of the table.
Yeah.
This is the back. Nobody's ever going to see this, but it's stunning. Then we have old tables. They have black inlay. We can cut out the tops and use them.
Black inlay, so you're going to cut it out so it'll be a wood inlay?
Yep, and we'll freshen that one
Change
up.
it. Yeah, because that's what I've got on mine.
And so, and that'll be filler work, you know. But this one right here is a dark oak. It's a beautiful cabinet.
Mm-hmm. The oaks seem to be the most common. If you go back in time,
correct.
oh, look at that white one, that white oak. Is that a white oak?
Oh, this is, yeah, this is, but it's just, there's no stain. It's maple, actually. This one's
it's a maple.
And then this is oak, but it's a quarter sawn oak, I believe.
Wow.
So you get a lot of, and this one, look at the.
Even the unstained is cool. Yeah, look at that.
It's just stunning.
Wow. All handcrafted. See, if you're wondering what you're paying for, this is what you're paying for, guys.
Well, and
there's a whole other row of them. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, on the back side over there.
That. And I want to talk about what, I mean, some of you people may not be familiar with your brand. So where does it start? Is the Moonbeam still the bottom? Is the Moonbeam still the starter?
Yeah, at about $1,250.
Okay.
1,250.
I have one on my floor right now.
Then it goes to the Escape, which has.
The Escape is new.
Yeah, it's got the upgraded electronics, and then you go to the Comet, which is at 2,200. It's still a steal.
Suspension table?
It's a non-suspension. You don't get into suspension about 3,650.
That's the Sapphire.
Which is a Sapphire.
Okay.
But for Sonics, if you don't have a problem with you know, vibrations or things coming through,
or you're mounting it to the wall.
Yeah, right. Then it's not a problem. And the Comet is a great performing sounding table at $2,200.
Okay.
And those come with Rega tone arms. Usually Rega 330s is what we're putting on those.
Okay.
And you can put an Audiophile, usually a moving magnet on those, because they're a little more sensitive. The moving coil can pick up sometimes some noise from the motor because the style of motor that's used on that.
Okay.
So then from there,
Sapphire.
and then you step up to the Sapphire. And actually, we're getting ready to reintroduce. I shouldn't say reintroduce. Introduce a Quay, which will be in between the Sapphire. It'll be fixed, but it'll be available to put larger and different tone arms on it.
Okay.
And actually, I have one in the room over here if you want
What
to
is
see
it called?
Quasar.
A Quasar. Okay.
Quay for short.
Okay. What's your best seller? Still the Sapphire?
We call it flavor of the month. At some points, we had our bestseller about last quarter was the Cosmos.
Huh.
And I don't know why.
Huh?
It's just.
It could be a review. It could be talk. It could be one buddy talk to another buddy.
Right.
It's all word of mouth these days.
And so it's really interesting to see how things move.
Oh.
So when you come in here, it's a very distinct smell.
Yeah, it smells like a you got a dehumidifier around. You got all this wood in here.
We have, you know, from the bird's eye maple, and then we have. This is what I was talking about. See if I can find it. I actually have one right here. This will be the Quay, which will have the new Eclipse electronics on it.
Okay.
And then we'll actually be able to mount whatever tone arm we want on this.
Okay.
And so this is what I'm excited about. It's kind of.
It's a little sharper. It's got a little more of a modern touch to it.
Right, and I think this should be a great performing table, but this will be released probably in January.
Okay.
Is my goal. We'll see if I can meet it or not. Right now we have an issue with motors sitting off California.
Yeah, everything's.
So,
I mean, every industry's got something sitting off California.
Right. So we'll once we start with rough hewn, we get all of our wood rough hewn. It's just lumber at that point. We will go through and we'll get it to a working state, and then this is getting close to getting the finger joints done, and then it'll get assembled into a table from there. These are all the motor control covers, all the tops. I mean, there's a ton of work. This is as a restoration right here for this customer.
Beautiful.
Steve.
Look at that thing.
Yeah. And so, It's been a long time to get to this point, but I think next year we're primed and we're setting things in place now for a great 2022.
I see that. This is I'm glad I came up for the tour because this thing is unbelievable.
It can be a little intense, right?
Yeah.
Just looking at it all, but here's just a optical comparator with a huge 30-inch screen, but we can check parts. And it's funny coming from the machine side when we get to wood and we're looking at thousandths. Wood guys are usually like, we're within the 16th, we're good.
Yeah.
But it's a different mentality, which I think serves us well for high precision. So yeah, I mean that's kind of
what you guys got here.
That's a tour of the place.
Cool.
And
let's wrap it up in the main room.
Yep.
I'll head back up there and.
So
wow.
Do you want to order the head shell wires and you're going to have them shipped here, or do you want us to?
I can get them. I can get the wires, head shell wires. Well, that's it. There's Donna. She's running away from the camera. She does that a lot.
Well, the head shell is missing off of this.
So, well, that's going to wrap up our tour. Thanks so much for showing us around.
Thanks for coming up. We really appreciate it. And it's great to have dealers that have product because a lot of places just want to take orders. They actually will have the product in-house. And if you're in the Chicago area or southeastern Wisconsin, we're working on our showroom right now, and they'll have complete access to all of our products. So if you ever want to listen to SOTA, give Toad Hall a call.
Yep, and we can take your orders for anything. Obviously, we can come up here. We can take a tour. They'll have a showroom in the next couple months, maybe.
Yep, downtown Elkhorn.
I always have a sapphire on the floor, and right now I have a moonbeam as well. I usually try to keep those two on the shelf, but there might be some other. I might have to add something else. So, thanks so much for taking the time. If you give SOTA a call, you're going to get a hold of Donna. She can she can answer all your old questions. Otherwise, I can take orders. They can help you out.
And if you have technical question, her email is sales@sotaturntables.com.
They stand behind all their stuff they do. So, thanks so
Great.
much.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate
It's been a blast. Take it easy, guys.